Well, hello all. Today I'm going to build a waterproof stealth shelter slightly underground. So let's get started. Now we are going to lash these three sticks together into a tripod. So, a piece of rope, and I'm going to leave an end and go over, under, over, under, over, under. Right. Now to tighten this whole lot, because it's pretty loose, I'm going to wind this up. And there we have our frame. So we got a teepee shaped structure now. Now I have some DPC plastic. I think DPC stands for damp course. It goes in the damp course of a house. Thick plastic. Probably 400 microns thick. Now this plastic is probably way too big, but that's not a problem. Big is good. More is more. And now we're going to cut it on this side with the scissors. Now that we have our tent shape, we're going to take the sand that we dug out and we're going to use that to hold down the edges. So now we have the other side done, and here we almost have our shelter. Let's show you what it looks like inside. But here is our door, and that should be beautiful and waterproof. Wow, and that didn't take long. There's our entrance and our ground sheet. Just look how lovely it is inside. There's our ridgepole going down to the end there. There's our sponge mattress along the one side. along the other. It's super spacious. And look how nice our entrance is. Allows air, we can never suffocate. And then this just flaps over like this, and I'm going to stick it with some duct tape, some black duct tape. It's very hard for me to begin to explain how much I love this shelter. It rained cats and dogs, and it's as dry as anything in here. I'm going to have some breakfast of pancakes. I've got my pancake mixture. So let's just grease the pan. Now, many people, because they know I like science and I've taught science for 46 years, like to send me articles by atheists such as Richard Dawkins, or the latest one I got was Stephen Weinberg, who's some sort of physicist. He deals in the electrostatic and weak forces and subatomic particles. That's his line. He did recently die in 2021. And people send me these articles, or this was a YouTube clip. They want me to know, what do I think of him? Well, his attitude was basically, I don't like God. I think science and God should be enemies. They shouldn't just cooperate together. They should be active enemies. Because he doesn't like the religious method, and he doesn't think that he thinks religion kind of holds people back. But his main, I suppose, the main thing that stood out is his dislike of God and God's character. Basically says that God likes to punish people. That's why he doesn't like God. And he doesn't feel that all science arguments eventually end, where did the laws come from? Where did particles, where did everything come from? In the end, it's a theological discussion of where did everything come from. If it didn't come from, science cannot explain where everything came from. But he feels that religion doesn't help explain anything, and it just impedes the learning of science. And like I say, he said he doesn't like a God who just wants to punish everybody. But my question is, obviously Stephen Weinberg doesn't know God, doesn't want to know God. Richard Dawkins and many of these famous atheists, I read their stuff. I'm interested in what they have to say. I've got nothing against reading it. But, in any relationship, this is what I feel. Can Stephen Weinberg give God anything? No. He's got nothing to offer God. Can God give Stephen Weinberg something? Yes. Eternal life and help, etc. And the only reason I say that he doesn't like God is because he doesn't know God. And it's like somebody talking about your friend. They have a certain view of your friend, but you can hear from just all that they're saying that they have actually almost no clue as to your friend. You can see that they have a different experience of your friend than you do. Now, what I find so interesting is that let's just turn this down a little bit, is that, some people worship cows, animals. They carve a stone object and then they worship that object. And they think that's perfectly logical, and many people do it, and we don't think too much of it. That people worship a calf. And take, for example, Israel they walked through the Red Sea. The Red Sea was piled up on either side. They had seen the God of Israel save them from Pharaoh. And yet, 3 days after walking through the Red Sea and there's a shortage of water at Mara, they complain. And God has to strike. Somehow, the water was bitter, and so the water's made sweet, and then they can drink. And 50 days later, they're at Mount Sinai, and there the 10 Commandments were given. And not long after that, Moses is away for, 40, 50 days. Then the people, they've seen God, they know God, they've been rescued by God. These were slave people. These haven't got much going for them. Say, no, we don't like God. They did know God, but now they feel, now we're going to make us a golden calf. Can you imagine anything more retarded than that? To make a golden calf out of molten gold, and then to worship that instead of the all-powerful God who'd shown huge miracles, including not long before the fire on Mount Sinai, which was so frightening that they asked Moses, rather you speak to God, we're too scared to speak to God. So they prefer that. They choose that to worship. Ignorance, in a sense. Well, it's not ignorance. I mean, they must have probably been calf worshippers before. Let's put some cream on this. So it was not totally alien to them. I mean, they must have had some strange religion before in Egypt. They weren't all, they lost a lot of their understanding of God. But God had turned up and shown up for them and was batting for them, was on their side, was trying to bless them in every way possible. And yet they make a golden calf and worship that. And to them that was totally logical. All 3 million of them thought, that's not a bad idea. Let's make a golden calf, worship that in place of God. Cream and syrup, yum yum. Haven't got a plate. Now what I'm going to say next is I'm looking out on this beautiful vegetation, clear air, sky. James Webb is broadcasting back fantastic images of the galaxies and stars. There are more stars than there are grains of sand on the seashore. Can you imagine that? I mean, this is all fantastic. And then if you go onto a microscopic level, you look at how intricately made everything is, from the cellular, how beautiful it is when you look at a cell under a microscope. Like a whole city there functioning together on a microscopic level. And then you go to the human body, there hundreds of thousands of enzymes that have to work together to keep a human alive. If one of those goes wrong, you get a serious disease. So just one of those enzymes, if of the hundreds of thousands, if they go wrong, you can get a serious disease or die. Everything has to work together perfectly. Then you get hold of a science textbook, some of the worst of them, with formulae, pages and pages of formulae. Do yourself a favor. Go and Just look at some of the more terrible science textbooks. The intricate workings of the universe. Now, people want to say this all happened by chance. You know, evolution. All just happened by chance. One lucky mutation of DNA. Where did DNA come from? Can't say. It just all formed together. By pure luck, we live in this beautiful world with thousands and millions of creatures, each creature incredibly complex. And this is all just pure luck. The God of fortune has smiled upon us. So what do Darwinists and evolutionists and atheists, many of them worship chance. By lucky shakes of the dice, the world is as beautiful and it's incredibly intricate. If you had to ask Stephen Weinberg how intricate the atomic world is and the subatomic forces, I'm sure you'd be the first to say, wow, it's so complicated. And yet, it all got here by chance. And it says the heavens declare the glory of God and the firmament shows his handiwork. And Paul in Romans, the first chapter, says that God is known by the things around us, this creation. It is such a beautiful world. I mean, even Stephen Weinberg would have got up in the morning, breathed this beautiful clear air, had this beautiful water. The sand is beautiful and soft. The leaves are gorgeous textures and colors. The creatures around, all functioning happily, living beautifully. I'm sure Stephen Weinberg, he was nearly 90 when he died, had so many wonderful things in his life, as does Richard Dawkins. And God just blesses these people, even though they don't believe in him, to have these wonderful lives. I mean, what a wonderful God who gives goodness to those who love him and those who don't. He just spreads out his goodness. And for those of us who do know and love him, he's even more kind and beneficial and loving to us. And we can call upon him when we need help, and we know that he gives us eternal life. So this is just a foretaste of what he has to offer. He just wants to find people who see this wonderful, beautiful, intricate, fantastic creation and want more of it. Are prepared to submit to him and to say, yes, God, we love you, or you're the only game in town. You're the only one offering us this. You're so kind, so generous. People don't know. I mean, obviously there's false religion that gives a bad impression of God, that he's going to send people to an eternal hell and burn them forever, which is not true. He burns up the wicked and they die instantly. And that's the end of it. They reject it. They don't need God. They don't want God. They don't want eternal life. They don't want to submit themselves. Fine. But in the meantime, God is blessing them with a wonderful life. And then when it ends, they just don't get a renewal. Whereas believers do. They get to live for eternity with God. So I say the complete foolishness of people to think that pure, random, lucky chance caused all one-celled organisms, unicellular organisms, and amoeba eventually evolved into a human. It's just so bizarrely wishful thinking nuts. The probabilities of it happening, if you had to really understand probability and maths, you would know it's impossible. I mean, first of all, there's got to be stuff around to interact. Where did that come from? And laws. And we see that it all interacts so beautifully and intricately together. To me, it's just so easy to believe in God when you just look at the beauty and gorgeousness of every day. And you're aware of all the fantastic good things that there are going on in every single day for, let's say you live 70 years. And then some atheists will come and focus on the one or two bad things that happen to you. For example, we've all got to die. How can I believe in a God who allows people to die? Well, that's the way it was set up. If you were never going to die, you would never need God. But because it's all set up for you to make a choice, do you want God? Don't you want God? Do you want more of this beautiful, fantastic? I mean, just enjoyed this lovely pancake. Probably going to have some more. All the laws of physics that went into making it, how beautiful, metal, cream that beats this combination, how wonderful technology, I can film this. This world is incredible. It's so complicated. And to think it, some people just think, yeah, it came here by chance. Nuts, rubbish. God created everything that we see around us, the laws, the universe, the plants, the animals, all the formulae that drive everything. And every good thing that I look forward to enjoying today comes from God. So I just say, I feel sorry for those people who believe in chance. Will chance help you when you need help? Will chance give you eternal life? No more so than a molten calf or an elephant or a cow.